think it happened.
Are we
sorry
live?
sorry for not giving you a heads up.
Just over here reading my phone. Hello.
I think let's see. Let's wait for it to go over there.
Should be over here now. We've been
We
live for
did
6
it.
seconds. There we
We
go.
are 6 seconds in. Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
And it is 10 o'clock on the dot. Actually,
Okay.
10:01. Sorry, we're a minute late.
You let us set up the cafe. It's going to be just a hair late.
Yes. No
Trying to figure out how
pre-chat.
to log in and everything.
But we did it.
We did.
Welcome to the Medicare Cafe. My name is Carrie Vogt.
And I'm Clayton Clemens.
And Olivia is clearly not here today. She's in Boston.
Yeah, she's at the Devoted rollout, which we were just kind of chatting about a little bit before.
I'm not familiar with Devoted.
Yeah. So
what states have they been in? Or are they just new?
So they've been in like Illinois and Ohio and a few others. They were like 13 states.
Oh, okay.
And now they're expanding into a few more. So we're excited they're coming to Missouri.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Just more to shake up AEP.
Yeah, of course. Like we need more. We're just like, hey, let's just add some more to the mix.
Well, feel free to, I guess you can text this number and bother Olivia. But today is an Ask Us Anything day. So you can type stuff in the chat or any other ways that they can yell at us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You would maybe know. Beauty and Brains Day.
I know which one I am, Brian.
Oh, Brian, you bring so much liveliness to the cafe.
For
and
sure.
I love it. I really do.
Well, I'll kick off the AMA by kind of asking a question that we talked a little bit about the end, or I say we, I didn't, you did, about the kind of future of Social Security. I was talking to some agents that were watching the cafe last week, and they had some more questions on it, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of time to elaborate.
The future of Social Security is quite a loaded question, I feel like.
Yeah, what is the future?
Predict
the future for us,
There's
Carrie.
this, like, just overall misconception, I feel like, that Social Security is headed towards disaster.
Ooh, don't like that.
Especially like
mid-30s being like, hey, please stick around for at least another 30 years.
People, I don't know if you guys hear it from your clients, but I always hear it from mine and the financial advisors I work with, that there's just a lot of worry about the solvency of Social Security because I don't know if you watch the news, and I'm not going to get political at all with what I'm going to say, but Social Security is a big topic in the political world because we know in 2034 it won't be able to pay out 100% of its benefits. So that affects every
need to watch
single
the news
one.
a little bit more, apparently.
That affects every single one of our clients. And it kind of affects us too because we're hopefully going to get Social Security someday.
Be nice.
But really, I feel like when I talk about the future of Social Security, you kind of have to talk a little bit about the past first. So to explain how I feel confident that there is a future to Social Security. So history lesson, here comes a little history lesson. In 1935, that is when Social Security started.
Okay.
And it was designed to be a like pay-as-you-go system to where the current workers paying their Social Security taxes were funding to those retirees that were drawing out.
Okay.
Back in 35, when it started, there were 10 to 15 retirees for every 10 to 15 workers for every one retiree pulling. So there was a surplus of funds.
Yeah.
Tons of extra money going into Social Security. The government didn't necessarily do well with those extra funds. So we've been in this situation before. And in 83, we knew there was going to be another shortfall, not being able to pay out 100% of the benefits. And so in 1983, they upped our FICA taxes. It was 5.2%, and now it's 6.4%. And that's where it stayed. Preach, you were supposed to be dead at 68. Yes, Brian, that's a very good point, though. So, they upped the FICA taxes in 83, and those changes were supposed to get us to 2020. So, surprise, the changes actually,
It
like,
worked out. They're
it
like, "Hey, we did
exceeded
better." Yeah.
expectations because it's gonna get us to 2034 instead of 2020. Um, but so in 2034, if no changes are made to the Social Security system, it won't be able to pay out 100% of its benefits. But sorry, this is a very
No,
long-winded answer to
I
your
have
question.
no idea of any of this stuff, so I'm just like, "Mhm."
So
Taking notes
that
mentally.
is if no changes are made.
Yeah.
If no changes are made, about 80% will be able to be paid out. But no matter if you are Republican or Democrat, they both want to change it.
To do something about it,
They
yeah.
both want to do something about it. And so there have been thousands of proposals to fix it.
Good. Okay.
And some of them are going to affect us and it'll up our FICA taxes again.
Doesn't sound great, but I do like the idea of getting some retirement money one day.
Yeah. There have been talks of pushing back the full retirement age to as far as 70
Mm,
or pushing up the early retirement age from 62 up a little bit. But Brian, to your point, why they know there's going to be such a deficit is there's two big factors. That ratio in 1935 of 10 to 15 workers for every one retiree is now 3 workers to every one retiree
hmm.
because baby boomers are leaving the workforce and 10,000 a day are retiring, as we know.
Yeah.
So there's more people than ever drawing the benefit and living longer, like you said, Brian. Um, the average life expectancy, I think back then was like 68 and it's now 70, 76,
Hmm.
78. So more people than ever are claiming their benefits for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So
Zaps that funds pretty quick then.
it does. It does. And so I just feel confident that, again, no matter who's in office, no matter which party you support, all of them support fixing it. It's just how is it going to be fixed?
Well, good.
So there is a future to Social Security. It's just how
What's
are
it
we
gonna
going to
look
get
like?
there?
Okay. Well, that's good because a lot of people I know that is, like my grandma for one, that her income when she got
Oh, tons of
that was
our
just like
clients,
that's it.
their only income is Social Security,
Yeah. So
for sure.
good to know there is a future there. So
Yes,
future
there
grandmas of
is.
the world, you're okay.
And like if any changes were made, it's usually like it really probably wouldn't affect. I mean, 2034 is still a little ways away.
We think so.
I know, we do think
And then it'll
so.
be here.
But hopefully, like, so in
About be.
83, like, they made changes like 2 months before they knew it was gonna like go down. So, like, hopefully, we know this is coming.
We got a little bit more
That
analytics going into
they
it.
don't wait until like December of 2033
Like,
to
let's
make
go ahead and try
changes.
this. I don't know.
But it's the government we're talking about, so they probably
Well, it's good that we know
will.
now, so we have the
Yes.
10 years to
Yes.
figure this out.
Exactly.
Well, looks like I got another question here. In an AEP like this year, crazy, with all the shakeup we're expected to see, how can an agent still find the time to cross sell while seeing more clients this year? So that's a really good loaded
That's a good
question,
question.
Will. So what he's kind of referring to is all the different shakeups with the final rule, Inflation Reduction Act, all of that changing a lot for the
Higher
consumers.
shopping rate.
Yeah, which is going to bump up the shopping rate
Yep.
because I was explaining this the other day because we were just kind of talking through different changes and it was, like, okay, well, where is this 40 to 70% shopping rate coming from? And it was like, think of a client that gets their ANOC. They see a downgrade of their
Mhm.
plan because they see benefits changing and lowering in different areas or whatever the case might be. They're going to assume my plan's garbage now.
Mhm.
I'm going to need to shop for something else because they don't understand that it's going to be pretty across the board that
Yeah.
it'll be going this way. So, like, that would kick up the shopping rate. Now, if they have to switch, that's a different scenario. But the point he's making here of like finding time to cross sell still is something I've questioned and trying to figure out myself. And Chalen actually here the other day brought up a really good point to me. He was talking about, with the HRAs going away,
Uh-huh.
like where they're not making those payments.
Yep.
Those take what, 5, 10 minutes, something like that?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. You know how quickly I can ask you if you want cancer insurance?
True.
Would you like cancer insurance?
Yes, I
Boom,
would.
done. No, so, like, taking the, like, 5, 15 minutes, whatever it might take for you to kinda go through those different processes
Mhm.
at the end of your appointment, whatever it might be, reallocating that time, just like we talk about reallocating
Yep.
funds, whatever, reallocate that little bit of time there to go ahead and start, integrating that into your cross-selling techniques. When you're going through doing the client intake forms is something we've mentioned a lot of being able to say like I'm gonna have to see more people this year.
Yep.
You need in a system to do that. So getting their drug list, their scope of appointment, and maybe even sending them a form like we just created one, that a client intake form that goes over different pharmacies, meds, different ailments or concerns of
Mhm.
theirs, so you can kind of get that information prior to the appointment, so the client's almost like primed to talk about
Right.
it.
I agree, and I also feel like efficiency and preparation is gonna help everything this year because it's going to be so crazy. Like, if you are diligent beforehand, doing your like preparing and planning your meetings before you have them, you'll be able to see this is where I can cross sell them and just like go into that meeting prepared than just them walking in and you're not being
Sometimes I always think too,
prepared.
like the adversity pushes people to a new level that they weren't like
Yeah, for
aware that they
sure.
had in themselves.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I can't, my appointments are all over an hour long. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to shrink those down. But
Yeah,
like, when push comes to shove and you have to be able to see more of your
for
people,
sure.
you'll make it work. You'll find those ways to be more efficient. So, like,
I work 15 hours a week. It can be done.
yeah, exactly. Um,
It's not easy, but
you
if
make it
you're
work.
efficient, yeah,
Yeah.
you push yourself to the limits.
Another thing I see is it kind of depends on like evaluating your book, right? Like if you've got 500, 600 people and you're trying to cross sell each and every one of them during AEP, you might struggle to get to all 500, 600 people.
For sure.
But if you're just planting the seed and talking to them about like, hey, this is about your Medicare Advantage and PDP because we have a time frame of this. I do want to talk about some extra coverages that can help fill the gaps that we're needing to cover here. But we're gonna set a follow-up appointment. Make sure you got your cards. Make
Mhm.
sure that we're getting you set up with whatever ancillary benefit or a primary doctor, whatever the case might be, in the first quarter, and we could talk about those at that time.
Yep.
Just setting the expectation of like, hey, we're crunched for time. I've got 500 of yous that I need to help and make sure get taken care of. But there is this other part I need to talk about,
Yep.
and just letting them know like, hey, there's a follow up coming. I think that's going to be a big part. It's just like evaluating what you have time for.
Absolutely.
Now, agents who might be a little bit newer or are usually, let's say, done with AEP mid-November, like those are the times where, like, okay, go through your
Go, yeah,
appointments, then go
go
talk
back
to
and
them,
cross sell
go cross sell them throughout the
them.
rest of AEP. Check to make sure that they didn't switch to plan again. Last app wins. So,
Yep.
like, a good reason to check up with them and say, like, hey, I know we were crunched for time during our appointment here.
Mhm.
I want to make sure everything still feels right. No other big changes before the end of AEP. Great. Let's talk about some other coverages that could help out with this plan.
Yep.
Few different routes there I think could help work out though.
Phyllis said another suggestion was to raise the income limit for paying Social Security tax. Absolutely, Phyllis. So she's talking about how to fix the issue. Yeah, like I said, there's been hundreds of proposals. That one is one I personally um, would support. I think I obviously don't know the like analytics and the actuarial like studies of how these would play out. But like, so if I make like $500,000 a year, only 186 of that is subject to Social Security tax, versus all of it is subject to Medicare tax. And so they've talked about raising that income limit or getting rid of it altogether. So that ultimately just affects the higher wage earners. I don't think they should get rid of it altogether, but I do think raising it might be an option.
Nice.
But yeah. What other questions did we have?
So I got one. I got text that was about asking about the smoothing provision and just
The
trying
what?
smoothing provision.
Should I know what that is?
So one thing we debated yesterday a lot about, was it prevision or provision? And we landed on provision, and I
Sounds
feel
like
great about
skincare.
that.
Sounds like skincare.
Honestly, could be. At this point,
Soothing,
smoothing.
smoothing provision.
A
Are we
smoothing.
talking about moisturizer here?
A little bit. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Okay.
So that's where, like, with the prescription drug plans, they're going to have that max out of pocket this year.
Oh,
So
that's what they're calling it?
no.
Oh.
The part that the smoothing provision is, so let's say you take a drug that costs you $700-800 the first time you go to the pharmacy.
Okay.
Instead of you having to pay all $700 to your pharmacy to get that medicine, you and the carrier, you fill out a form, which is still in the works, which is kind of the question I was getting. You fill out the form to opt in to this smoothing provision. Medicare, uh, pharmacy, M3P is another name they're calling it. And I like that because I'm dyslexic and I think MP3, M3P. But you fill out this form so you're able to finance your drugs through the carrier that you have a plan on. So you have $700 bill. No, you don't. It's financed through the carrier, and you're paying that carrier each month to get those.
Will it
drugs
ever
paid
go
down.
above that 2,000? Like, are they charging interest? It
Mhm.
sounds kind of like that patient program, PAY.
I think I know what you're talking about, where you just like, you can pay this off. It's not going to be interest or anything.
It's basic. I don't know enough about it. They talked to NABIB last year maybe. But yeah, basically it's like it's a not credit card system, but it gives you a line of credit for health
Okay.
costs, and I don't think there's any interest. I don't know.
Yeah, so with the smoothing provision, it's basically just you're financing it with the carrier.
With the carrier.
Yeah. So to my knowledge, there's not going to be any
Interesting.
interest, but like, don't take
Has
that
it
as
been
gospel.
approved by Medicare?
Yeah, it's a thing. Like, it's happening.
It's happening?
Carriers still don't fully understand how they're doing this, and that is part of like these changes that they're trying to rebid and figure out, because now they kind of have to be into the finance world and loaning money out to get that money back. What happens if you don't pay it? Probably not good though, so make sure you're paying that bill. What will that form look like? It's in the works.
I'm sure it would be just like any other medical debt. I'm guessing.
Yeah. And my thing is, like, with prescription drug plans.
Thank you, Sadie. Patient helps you pay off out-of-pocket costs at 0% interest.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So it's like a credit support but it's just for medical, right?
that thing, the patient.
Yeah, patient.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's just medical stuff. And then the smoothing provision, Geo, my buddy here, it's typically
Benefit offered through employers.
Nice.
Yeah.
My buddy Geo mentioned a good like reference to this. Like, you go to the pharmacy and get your medicine, just like you go to the AT&T or Verizon and get your phone, but you pay for it throughout the years that you're locked in. So like, you're just financing it, like Afterpay or whatever. Like, you're gonna have to pay that medicine, but to help smooth your costs.
Slippery slope.
Yeah, it's happening though. So it will be something that
I haven't heard anything about that.
okay. Well,
Nothing.
Good that we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of agents, I feel like, are in kind of this gray area with it, and that's super fair because there's not a ton of information about it. But it was built in. It's going to happen this year. So during AEP or anytime throughout the year, a client can opt in to this smoothing provision, or M3P, which is the name I'm going through. Yes. Yeah, they can get their moisturizer financed by their carrier.
That's what I'm hearing.
So
I'm calling it the skincare provision.
if that's what helps remember
what I'll
it, you're
remember
like, that's it.
I'm really big on mnemonic devices, and that's how I will always remember
skincare
it. I will.
C3PO, MP3, M3P.
Retire Flow gets that for you. It is awesome. The patient? Is that what
Oh,
you mean?
yeah, kind of like that client intake form. That's what she's talking about, I think. So the
They'll do the smoothing provision?
no, I think she's going back to the client intake form. That it will like get your providers, get your drug list from them,
Oh,
and
okay.
kind of ask about some
Yep.
different health as HIPAA compliant as they possibly can. Ask them other questions so they can get prior to your appointment to help smooth that process.
Corey asked, how do they opt in? I think
So
that's what's still up in the air, you
yeah,
said. Yeah.
that part still super up in the air. They are in the works of making this form that they're going to be filling out.
I feel like there would have to be income and like more qualifying, just like any, like if I had a bill at the university and I wanted to finance that, they would ask me like income limits and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they're taking a risk on you.
yeah, that's gonna be the big thing is like with all of this, there's so many question marks around this one part that feels like a small change in comparison to all the other
Uh-huh.
big Medicare changes this year.
Interesting.
That's
It's
like,
cool, I guess.
what are we gonna do? Yeah, it's really
I
gonna
don't
help
know
some
why I'm so skeptical about it.
because it's scary and because you're
I also
thinking of
just
it
don't
like,
like debt.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm a debt averse person, so I don't know.
But think of poor little Ethel who's got
Oh, I know.
a
I know.
$1,500 drug in January. She's got to
For
pick up.
sure.
It's like,
For sure.
does she just go poor that month? Like,
No.
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 Smoothing will help
But
there.
like and this is me like working at the trust company settling
Yeah.
estates. I would see the children inherit all the debt. Not the children
Yeah.
don't inherit it, but realizing all the debt that their parents had that they have to pay off. So I'm just seeing it
You're
as
like,
more
there's
debt.
another
There's more
area.
debt that they're going to have to, if there really is no like income or background like digging before they like approve somebody for that.
Yeah, because now carriers are just assuming that, hey, there's a good chance we're going to at the risk of $2,000
Right.
with just this client. Like, that's
Mhm.
all we're going to see from them.
Okay.
Everything past that is going to start landing on the carrier, which is a huge change in itself because a lot of times it was just like, no, you and the pharmacy or
Yeah.
the drug companies figure this out. Now the farm or the carriers getting involved, so that's where we're going to start seeing a lot of that risk be put into premiums or cost of the drugs itself.
Just MA plans because I thought the PDPs were like almost ready to like peace out of like nobody wants no carriers don't want PDPs anymore. So like now they're gonna keep their plan but also let people like be in debt to them.
So that's something that is worth monitoring. It's like how many plans either exit the market,
Yeah.
which we've already seen happen with like Mutual of Omaha's
Right,
PDP.
right.
They're just like, that's not going to work for us. Um, Blue KC up in Kansas City is pulling. I don't think it's all their products. I don't know which
Mhm.
ones it is, but like we're going to see more service area reductions this year than we have in the last couple years for
Yeah.
sure. And probably looking at more like non-commissionable plans.
Yep.
That it's a good prescription drug plan, but one area that they can say like, okay, there's $100, however many
Right,
dollars,
right.
we can cross that out that we don't have to
Don't
pay
have to
out.
pay.
And they're gonna like look at any way that they can shrink that risk for them because they know that now they're at a lot of risk.
For sure. Phyllis said one interesting question to me is whether there is a coverage gap in 2025. I feel like I asked that to Olivia because I don't think there is.
No, no
It's
longer a coverage
just
gap.
it's just and I bet not many will have a deductible either.
That part I don't know. Because
That's just my opinion or
yeah,
my
because they know, okay, there's a $2,000 max out of pocket.
what's something that you think in the future.
Your
Prediction.
your prevision.
My prediction.
um, but yeah, like no more, no more donut hole. That
Yeah,
catastrophic, all of that confusing
just
part you have to
2,000 cap
explain is now just a $2,000 max out of pocket cap on their prescription drugs.
on drugs that are on the formulary.
Yes.
That's where the hiccup is going to be. All these
Yes.
brand name drugs. Again, my prediction is that they aren't going to be on the formulary.
Yeah, if they're not on the formulary, then it doesn't start counting towards your max out of
Max out of
pocket.
pocket.
So that would be a very interesting thing. And
So if I take an expensive drug that's cost me $10,000 for the year that's not on the formulary, so I can be in debt to United Healthcare to help them pay for that drug, or does the drug have to be on the formulary?
I feel like it would have to be on the formulary, but that's something that I'm not fully versed on yet.
Hmm.
So, like, when I'm getting questions on this, a lot of times I'm like, here's what we know for sure. Here's what I think, but I
I
don't.
don't know.
And then here's just like, I have absolutely no idea on
Yeah.
this. Um, Senior marketing specialist on our news page has a blog about the smoothing provision.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of ads for
Is the image
skincare.
of bottle lotion?
A lot of ads for skincare built in there. And but that's definitely something to check out because there's gonna be a lot more coming out about that as those questions are gonna come up. It's gonna be something where when you're going through the client's drug list and you see, like, say you're running on Medicare Center and you see in January and February that they're already paying that like $1,000, whatever it might be, for their prescriptions, and it's like, want to make sure that person knows,
Yeah.
like, hey, you can smooth this out, like this is a possibility for you.
Brian, won't they still have to have so many druggies per category that are covered?
Yes,
I don't.
that is a thing.
Okay.
So
that's
they'll still
keeping
have to have like X amount of medicines in
within
each
this.
category. Like they'll have to have some kind of insulin that they cover. They can be like, no, we don't want to cover all of these ones, but we cover this one.
Okay.
So like they'll still have, so clients will basically still have the ability to switch a medication. So like if their prescription drug plan, like last year, you helped me and my dad look at a plan. It's just like make sure that this looked like a good fit. Um, if he didn't switch like his medicines around, he was going to pay like something like $20,000 through the year. He could have just switched. So like, let's say he's looking at his plan this year, and like that's the cheapest plan for him. He would just have to switch medicines. Like,
Yeah.
clients are going to have to consider not only switching plans, but potentially
Switching
switching a medication around.
Hmm.
Because like he's been on a bunch of insulins. That was just the one that his doctor had put him on. So he was
Yeah.
like, it's fine.
It's fine.
He doesn't have any adverse reaction to the other one.
Right.
He was like, this one works now. I don't really feel like switching. So we switch his plan. There could be more conversation around
more strategies
switching.
there.
Yeah, like, well, this plan will cost you less if you just switch to this medication. That's the same category.
Do you know much about Xarelto becoming generic in August?
I can't even. Xarelto?
Xarelto.
I was shocked I could say it. I don't know.
It's one of the like first drugs that are being negotiated and stuff.
Oh, those, yeah.
But
Okay.
so like if somebody's got AFib, I mean, I have tons of clients that either take Eliquis or Xarelto.
Eliquis, I hear.
They're usually a tier 3. But supposedly Xarelto's going generic in August. I've heard a few times.
Well, good.
So yeah,
Lower
because
some
I
costs
had a
out there,
client.
yeah.
I had a client ask that, but I'm like, just because it goes generic doesn't necessarily mean the plan would change the drug tier mid-year. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like I'm trying to
It's like
I don't know
they
how that
could.
would work. They would have
They
to
have the
add.
ability.
Yeah.
But,
But
like,
just because it's going generic doesn't necessarily mean your plan would have it on a lower tier, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because they would
they
have
kinda
to
get
add that new
establish that.
generic
Yeah. Because then that generic would have to be added to the
to the
formulary.
formulary.
And then wherever they add it to the formulary,
It would have to be, yeah.
which tier they put it on.
Yes.
That's all up to them, which
Right.
is the great, like,
Right.
they still have control of what they're charging you for your medications.
Yeah.
Or, like before we saw a lot of copays, there might be a lot of co-insurance now with certain drugs of like, hey, this tier, instead of being a certain copay, is a 80-20 split, and whatever that cost, you pay 20% of it now.
Yeah.
To get you to your
get you.
$2,000. It's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be interesting.
How many drug lists have you collected so far?
For AEP?
Yeah.
I mean, I train my clients to like, I haven't gotten any, but like they know to like update me as they
keep you
update their
updated.
drugs.
Cool.
Yeah.
See,
So
there's a method.
I mean, I save all of them though, like I have them all saved in there. So
by the way, we need to get my dad on your books this year.
We'll do it.
Friendly reminder, like, hey, we need to do that still. Medicare Industry Insider Podcast. That's the one with Rachel and Chaylin.
Okay.
Also brought up a good point. Really, there it goes. Moved on me. It really helps to know common off-label drug uses to help assess where a client could move in their formulary if needed. That's a really good point. So getting familiar with those kind of interchangeable
Yep.
drugs, especially like you mentioned those couple already, like
Hmm.
you know in your head this one's coming out with the brand name, this is a
For sure.
possibility. So if you see somebody getting pounded by taking Eliquis, you could be like, have you talked to your doctor about, like, I'm not
Yeah.
a doctor, but
Oh,
have you
yeah.
talked to
I
them about
always say
this?
that. I'm no pharmacist, I'm no doctor, but based on the numbers, if you take omeprazole instead of this, like, make sure that's okay with your doctor because it would save you hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, like, just throwing it out there, like,
Right.
if you need it, we'll figure that out.
And getting familiar with things like I know I've talked about NextRx. They're I call them a cash pharmacy. They
Yeah.
don't bill insurance. You follow Mark Cuban, he's got a big one. Um, they cut out the middlemen. I mean, I could talk all day about how they function, but places like that are a huge, huge help
For sure.
for drug costs.
That was one I remember you educating me on
Yeah. Does your
last year.
dad use that or
Yep.
no?
Yeah, he
He
ended up
does?
yeah, I think there was one of his medicines that he ended up getting there.
Getting from
Yeah,
NextRx, yeah.
it's a good call.
It's crazy how much money it can save people.
For sure. Let's see. Do you think the specifics from CMS will be on the recertifications from carriers? UHC is already out. Yeah, so a lot of
Oh,
the
yeah,
certs are getting ready to come out. That's a super good question. I don't have any insight of
interesting.
what they'll build into those
Meaning we
questions.
might have to pay a lot more attention
I've got
to our
multiple
certs this
videos and
year.
blogs that I could post out there on the Facebook page of just like I built like a AEP cheat sheet of just
Mhm.
like here's updates and changes going on in the market. Like if I have a blog for it or a video on it, I've got it linked.
Awesome.
So like I might just share that. I made it into a PDF. I might just like share that to the
Yes,
Facebook
and
page
email it to me.
and be like, here's all the stuff.
And
Yes,
email it to
for
me.
sure. I'm building the email for you
Yeah.
right now in my head. I'm just like,
Good.
okay, I need to get her this.
Email that and your dad.
Yeah.
Dad's info.
Um, but no, I'm not 100% sure. I know we got a couple members of our team that are licensed so they can take the certifications right away. That'll be a good thing that maybe one of these cafes following up here soon. Once they've started getting those certifications, I can get that out there. Because yeah, UHC Fast Track is already started. I think it
Mhm.
was the second, third.
Monday, I think.
Today's the
Second,
fourth. Yeah, I think you're right.
third,
Third.
third.
Um, So, I honestly haven't heard anything about that yet.
Clayton is hiding cheat sheets.
I like to keep my resources.
Sharing is caring.
I'll share them around. Um, it's honestly just like a quick version of finding all of these updates
Yep.
on your own. Of like, we've got a ton of them on our website. I just put them all on one sheet. So if anyone's asking questions about it, I don't have to go
The
hunt for links.
yep.
It's like
It's all in one place.
I don't
You're
ever
just being efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm finding efficient ways to
Yeah.
talk to more agents about things.
Yep.
Because I'm like, I am never one to be like, I know all of this information. I'm like, some of it, little fragments are in here, and I know where to go find it.
Mhm.
That's the name of my job. uh, but no, as we get more updates on the certifications, if there is more information on there, those cheat sheets or different links that we have available are for sure going to be helpful. Um, More so than ever, I know we're talking about all of the different downloading the modules and getting all that
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
ready, especially because there is a lot of changes that they could
Mhm.
ask you
Could
about.
ask
Check
about.
out those modules. Make sure you
For
download
sure.
those where you
I
go.
always download them.
Yeah,
We've got to.
so you can Control F to
Control
search and
F.
everything.
For sure.
It's open note for a reason,
I
folks.
know. Anybody have any more questions?
Let me see if I've got any more here.
I was gonna say I don't have access to questions other than what I see here.
Um,
No more on here. Ah,
I
got
think that's
anything?
all I got.
I don't know what I did. I should stop pressing it.
Like it's broke now.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got for today. Then
I can't think of anything else.
I don't got him.
Did I bore everybody with my social security talk? We had one question.
We had some good
Or
questions.
not a question, a statement about
Yeah.
it. Let's see if I can get us off of here.
Okay.
We'll see. Thanks for listening today,
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Until next time, have fun
Make money
and give impeccable service.
See
See
ya.
ya.
Like, maybe?
Maybe. Did it stop? Nope, it's still going over here.
It does take a second. It could. We
Hmm.
could still be here. Seems like
You
we're
will
still
not
going.
be.